watching NotesIn9.
Hello, and welcome to NotesIn9. I'm David Leedy. Episode 138, XPages Combobox Improvements. Combobox. It's like adding fries and a soda to an edit box. Okay, I talk about community all the time on NotesIn9 and when I speak and stuff like that. And I do truly believe that community is great, and the more you give, the more you get. And sometimes what you get by joining the community is friends. Okay, now not everybody is going to be your friend. Some are just going to be an acquaintance. Some are going to be a Facebook friend. But sometimes you get a true friend. And I've been kind of blessed in the community that I've gotten a bunch of people that I would consider a true friend, and one of them especially is my good friend Paul Hannon from IBM. And here's a picture of him with his book, which was a community effort, and all those names on that book are from the community that got together. And Paul recently did a very nice thing for me. I have no idea how he pulled it off, but he did. So Paul, I do want to thank you very much for the thought. Okay, now usually when I have a show, I put especially when I get a new contributor, I love putting out a slide that says new contributor. Well, this is my first not a contributor slide, at least not yet a contributor slide, because the person that I'm about to talk about has promised on multiple occasions to come on to Notes and Nine. I've asked, I've almost begged. He's promised at MW Lug. He's promised at least two Lotusphere or two IBM Connects, maybe a Lotusphere and an IBM Connect. I'm not sure, but I'm talking about none other than the villain, Andrew, trust me, Barrickman. So that's what I've got to say. So this is my just public shaming on who should be a very good guy. I'm sure he is, but I haven't seen him come through here on some of his promises. I've heard a test video for Notes 9 does exist. I've also heard Bigfoot exists. And quite honestly, I believe more in Bigfoot than that this Notes 9 video exists. So, Andrew, if you're watching this, I'm now putting out a $9 reward for to find out where you're at. So, okay. All right, so let's get on with the demo today. The demo, I'm going to talk about combo boxes and how to use a combo box on your X page, and more specifically, kind of better feed it so what you show to the user is not what you save in the back end. Because how many times do you want to display something nice but save like a key or a synonym behind the scenes? And you can kind of do this with a pipe in X Pages or so. But I'm going to actually use some Java here. Don't be afraid. I'm going to walk through the whole process. But I'm going to actually use a little Java here to control the combo box. And then at the end of the demo, we're actually going to see how to make categories inside the combo box, just to give you that look and feel. So with that being said, let's go to the demo. Okay, so what we want to do today is look at combo box. We're going to populate it from Java, but we're going to make sure that we have a different label name than our key. Okay, so we want to show a nice little label name to our users, but store a little key, in the back end for our programs later on. So if we look at this, okay, so the label name in this case is Green Arrow, and his real name is Oliver Queen, Flash Barry Allen, etc. Okay, and if we go back to the default one, that's just blank. So we can use that to control rendering and stuff like that. So this is not rocket science here, but it's kind of a little iffier to do it in X Pages. The Notes client, you use the pipe and the synonym and stuff like that, and it worked very well. And you actually can do that in X Pages. You can use a pipe if you do it just right, and the synonym, and that works as well too, which is kind of clever. So, but I just feel you don't have as much control over it that way. So this way, coming from Java, we should have complete control over the label and the key. So because this is Java, I'm going to use a managed bean here. So if I go to phase config, I've set up a managed bean in the session scope called app, and it's in the package com.notesin9.controller.app. And the controller, that just is a term that kind of comes from Jesse Gallagher and stuff like that. So basically, I can put in code into this Java class and keep it off my X page. Keep it like messy server-side JavaScript, inside the C data and all that stuff from like just really messing up the markup on my X page, and keep things a lot smaller. Okay, so in this Java class, here's my package name, and I'm importing serializable because everything bean-wise really needs that. I'm importing Java, the utility packages, which I don't even think I'm using. No, I am using it because of the array list. And I'm importing this. This is the key here. This is the new one. javax.faces.model.selectItem. Okay, that's what we're going to pass back to the combo box. Basically, this select item. So it's really kind of cool. And people have been doing this for a while, and this is just my first time playing with it. Okay, so inside here I've got a method called getChoices, and it's going to return a list of select items. Okay, so the first thing I do, and here's a link to the Stack Overflow, if you can write that down, I guess, where I basically built this show off of. So a list of select item, and I'm going to call it options, and it's a new array list of select items. Okay. Now I'm going to set the first and default option. So we create an option called select item. So we've got an options, which is our list, and then an option, which is our item. Okay, so that's a new select item. And then there's just some methods here. I can set the label, I can set the value, and then I can add it back into my list. Okay, so that's the first element of the list. And then I've just hard coded these, but of course you could easily loop through a view, loop through a document collection. You could loop through other Java objects, which is actually what I did in the day job, and it worked out really well. So here I'm just building these lists, and I'm adding the options. Now make sure you make a new option each time you want to build a new one. Otherwise, they're all going to be the same object, and they're all just show up with the same value on your X page. Then when you're done populating your list of your options list, you just return that to the combo box. So then if we look at the X page, we look at this combo box, and we'll look in here. We'll look at source maybe in a minute. But here's the values of it. There's computed items, and it's just expression language. App.choices. How easy is that? And then the events has a simple event on change. And in this case, I do want to point out to Marky Roden that I'm not doing a full update here. I'm only refreshing what is needed because he's been on a bit of a tirade on that. Client-side JavaScript is better than, sliced bread, yada, 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 whatever. But anyway, just refresh the stuff that you need. Rather than the whole page, and life is good. It's a happy compromise, Marky. So anyway, and if we look at this in source, just to show you, this is pretty small because of our use of EL, right? So we don't have a big JavaScript thing. We don't have like lines and lines in here, etc. And then down the bottom, we've got that computed field for the real name. And again, that's just using viewScope key, the VS key, which is what's bound to that combo box. So as we change the combo box, we see the label, but really the key is getting saved into that viewScope variable, and that's what we're demonstrating here. And it actually works, which is really what's the important thing. Okay, now let's say we want to extend this a little more. These are all heroes from the DC universe. What if we wanted to add a Marvel and maybe like show a little categorization kind of thing going on? So if we come over here to a different page, so we're going to choose someone again. But now look, we've got DC and Marvel. And you can, obviously go in between the two. And you can't actually select the category, right? So how does that work? That's kind of cool. Nice user interface, I guess, if you're segmenting countries or states or something like that. So if we look at the page, there's basically absolutely no difference other than we're going to call a different method in our bean. So we're going to call this both method. If we come in here to the bean, and we come down here, and again, I'm referencing the same Stack Overflow article, and that was contributed by Mark Lusink, who also did the debug toolbar. So he's just a great guy, and he's big into the Twitter Bootstrap project. He's just all over the place. So anyway, the first thing we do is we're going to create a select item called option. Okay, just kind of like we did before. And here we're going to create a list of select items called grouped options. Okay, so it's a new array list of select items. So we've got this grouped options object, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add. And I hate when this highlighting crap stuff comes on as I move around, but we're going to add that option. So that's going to give us our default value of choose someone and then blank. Okay, and then we're going to create a select item group. Okay, and it's going to be new select item group, and then this is going to be the name of the category, the text name you see. And then it's basically an array. We're going to create an array of select items, and there's going to be 4 of them. And now we're just filling out the key. This column here is ending up being the key, and this here is the text that's displayed to the users. And then when we're done with that array, it's going to go into this group 1 set select items DC, which is the name of this array right here. Okay, so it is kind of a little hard to follow, but so I made this group 1, okay, which is really what's going to be the container of the array list, or the arrays of select items, and then DC is the name of that actual array. Okay, so group 1 gets the array of the individual items, and then group 1 gets added to this grouped options. So this is the actual return to the combo box business. Okay, then over here I make a group 2, and I'm giving that title Marvel to the user. And then again I'm going to make another little like array called, I'm sure this is an array, called Marvel, and which is a little confusing because it's the same as my display to the user, but these could be totally different, of course. And I'm going to put 4 things in here, and then I'm going to set this group 2, this select item group, to contain this array that has these 4 things in, and then I'm going to add that to this grouped options array. So group 2. So this grouped options is what goes back to the combo box, and that's got this. That's where we added this default one, which was not in a group, right? And then we added the group 1, which is the DC stuff, and then we added the group 2, which is the Marvel stuff, and that's what we returned to the combo box. So it took me a little bit to kind of like I kind of got lost here once or twice because of the way I name things and stuff like that. But once you do get it, then you can have little categories in here, and users probably like that if you have the need for that. And that's the demo. I hope you found that useful. If you have any questions for me, here's my information, and I thank you for your time.